We're back on the record approximately 2:20 p.m. This is the beginning of tape 2.
All right. Detective Mallow, we were talking about this August 29th report that you've got there to your right. And I wanted to follow up with a few more questions about it. You indicated that in your affidavit it says the purchase was successful, and the CI reported that a black male sold the substance to the CI, and a positive ID was not made. But in the report, if you let me take a look at it here. What information do you find that you decide is useful in there to assist you in providing probable cause in this case? What information is useful in there?
That they're selling illegal substances out of the smoke shack.
Okay, but it doesn't
It's a
say
pattern. It establishes a pattern.
But it doesn't say that in that report, does it? Right? It doesn't say that.
Say what?
What you just said, that they're selling illegal substances. Does it say that in that report?
Not in that specific report, no.
Okay, well then why did you just say that? Why did you just say that you used that information from that report?
I didn't say the report said that.
Okay.
You asked.
Well, I asked a question. Let me
okay,
just
maybe
back
I
up.
misunderstood your question. Re-ask me the question.
Oh, let me re-ask you the question. What information from this report was useful in you establishing probable cause?
Okay, that a confidential informant was, but what it says right there. I mean,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. So then would you agree then the other information that you didn't include there would not be useful in establishing probable cause?
I've already answered that question.
Okay. Which, well, I don't remember. What was it?
I don't remember either.
Okay. Well, where did you get this information that you put in the affidavit? From that report?
Yes.
So, and you practically tracked the information in the report, didn't you?
Correct.
Okay. When you tracked that information, you didn't see the negative language in there?
I've already answered that question.
So that means no?
Correct.
Okay. Or does that mean yes? I'm trying to find out.
I'm going to object to asked and answered.
Okay.
I mean, I've already answered the question.
Okay. Well, we can agree that you chose to omit the negative information,
I didn't
right?
choose to omit anything.
Okay. Well, it's not in there, is it?
How many times are you going to ask this same question over and over? I've already answered it. I
Well,
didn't see it.
Okay. And you'll agree with me that it doesn't say in your affidavit that an arrest was made, right? Doesn't say that.
No.
Okay. It doesn't say that the substance was directed to be destroyed, does it?
No, wasn't my
Okay.
case.
Right. And you've already said it doesn't include the results of the field test. So, and you put this information in your affidavit intentionally, right?
When the information that's there, yes, I put that
Yeah.
in there intentionally.
And knowingly.
Yes.
Okay. No one forced you to leave anything out, right? No
No.
one forced you to leave any information from the report out.
No.
Okay. And as far as any omission, you accept that's your responsibility. You made that decision.
I didn't make any omissions.
Okay. As far as any of the information that we've talked about, that's not in there, is it?
I put the information in that's written in number 2. That's what
Right.
I put in there.
And anything else that I've asked you about, that's not included, is it?
If it's not there, then no.
Okay. Detective, earlier, didn't you testify that it would be important to identify test results to a judge?
I'm going to object to form.
You can answer the question.
I've already answered that question.
No, well, you're going to answer. I'm asking you this question. Didn't you earlier testify that it would be important for a judge to know the results of a drug test?
And I said it could be, yes.
Okay.
That's what I said.
All right. Well, let's move on to section D3 then, okay? That's on page 7 there. It talks about a follow-up investigation on September 25th, conducted by Detective Williams. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with that investigation?
Yes.
You're familiar with the reports in that case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe, I'm going to give you a copy of this report. Did you include all the important and accurate information in your affidavit from that report?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you agree that the results of that investigation would be important, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. Are the results, the test results, included in your affidavit?
No.
Okay. So they're not important.
It's not what I didn't say that. Those are your words.
Well, then what if they're important, why wouldn't they be in there?
This is what I put in. I'm not going to speculate. This is what I put in my affidavit.
No, I understand what you put in there. I'm just trying to discern what you determined was important and what you didn't.
That a confidential informant was used to make a purchase of synthetic cannabinoids from the business.
Okay.
Wasn't
So-
my undercover buy wasn't my case.
Right. I understand that. You're deriving this information from reports, right?
Correct. Yes.
And so you're deciding what's important to put in your affidavit when you write it, right?
Yes.
I mean, you've already said that. So,
Yes.
so you decided that the information that you put in here was important,
Yes.
and you decided that the information that you didn't put in there was necessary, that it wasn't important.
I
right?
put what I thought was relevant for this affidavit.
Right. And again, you chose not to provide the field test results in this affidavit, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what does the report say as far as what the field test result was?
This one says negative.
Okay. Let me see that report. And this is done by Officer or Detective Williams, right?
Yes.
Okay. Says that the field test kit, a reliable field test kit, received a presumptive negative reading, correct?
Let me see that. Yes, correct.
Okay. Now, if you'll turn to the next page. What does Sergeant Bradley say about this?
That the case is closed by exception.
Does he say anything about the test results?
No.
No, he doesn't. Okay. Let me see this report. What does Sergeant Bradley say about corroborating evidence in there? Anything?
I mean, it's written right there. I'm not going to testify what somebody else said.
Okay. You can't tell me what the report says?
You can read it yourself. It says it
Okay.
right
So
there.
you agree with me that it says that the local Bell County prosecutors will not file charges on a suspect while using confidential informants only and without corroborating evidence?
Yes,
You
that's what
agree
it says.
says that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any reason to believe that that's not true?
No.
Okay. Any reason to believe that the information contained on the prior page about the field test kit is not true?
Rephrase that question.
Any reason to believe where it talks about the results of the test? Any reason to believe that that information is not true?
No.
Okay. So you saying you believe that that information is true?
At the time, like I said, I didn't see that. I didn't see the negative.
So you're saying that
Yeah.
the August 29th one, we're going back up, the August 29th report says it's a negative test. You're saying you didn't see it.
No.
Now you're saying on the September 25th report, it says negative. And you're saying you didn't see that at the time you did your affidavit?
No, I didn't.
Well, earlier you testified that you reviewed these reports.
I did.
How thoroughly did you review these reports?
As thorough as I always do.
Do you believe that you did a very thorough review of these reports?
Yes.
Okay. Don't you think a thorough review would have caught the negative results?
Should have, yes.
So would you agree then that that was not a thorough review?
I'm not going to say that it wasn't a thorough review. I thought it was a thorough review at the time I did it.
Okay. So you're saying when you drew up your affidavit, you didn't know that the report said that the September 25th purchase by a confidential informant, that the results of that purchase were negative?
I did not know at that time. I did not put in my affidavit that they were positive either, or
Right.
negative.
Right. But are negative results information that you use in making a decision whether you have probable cause to go forward in your
No.
case?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay. So you think that it's not important to tell the judge that, right?
That's not what I'm saying. If I'd have seen that, that's a different story, okay?
If you would have seen it, do you think it would have been important to tell the judge?
Of course.
Okay. So if you'd have seen that, you would have told the judge?
Yes.
Detective Bowman or the prosecutor's office, the people that you conferred with in preparing your affidavit, did they know the results?
I can't speak for them.
Okay.
If they did, they never told me.
Okay. Do you believe that the people you conferred with reviewed these reports?
Yes.
And you believe that the people you conferred with agreed with proceeding with the information contained in your affidavit as it is, even with the reports stating what they state?
Yes.
At the bottom of some of these reports it says, I see NFI, I see closed by exception. What do those terms mean? Like there's an NFI there.
No NFI. When I use it in my reports, I can't speculate what Detective Williams meant by what those initials. When I use it in my reports, it means no further information.
Okay. And what is closed by exception? I see that right here.
I didn't write that, so I don't know.
Okay. Do you ever use that term?
I have used it.
When you use it, what does it mean?
That basically there's going to be no further investigation on that particular, it's going to end right there. There's not going to be any charges filed or anything
Okay.
on that specific case.
So if you see that, then does that kind of jump off the page at you?
What do you mean? I don't
Well, you
understand.
just said that means there's not going to be any further investigation. There's not going to be any...
With narcotics investigations, with CI making purchases, those generally aren't followed up as far as charges on that specific case.
Okay. In this report, it says the evidence may be destroyed This case is closed by exception. Did you see that?
Yes.
Did you see that when you wrote your affidavit?
Yes.
Okay. But you didn't include that. Is that important information or not?
I didn't think it was at the time, so I didn't put it in there.
Okay. Why would that not be important?
In an affidavit, I wouldn't see why the judge would need to know that the evidence is going to be destroyed and it's closed by exception.
You don't understand, or you don't see why a judge might wonder why evidence that supports an affidavit should be destroyed?
Ask that again?
You said that you don't understand why a judge would find that important. Do you understand or question whether a judge would want to know why information that supports a search warrant affidavit, that underlying evidence is going to be destroyed?
No.
But the information that we've been talking about here in this report about the negative test, about the evidence may be destroyed, the case closed by exception, you chose not to put that in your affidavit, right?
Correct.
Okay. You decided that that was not important information, right?
To go in the affidavit.
Right. You believed that that was not important information for the judge to know, right?
Right.
So, because if it was important, you would have put it in there, right?
If I thought it was important for this,
Sure.
that specific part of the affidavit, yes.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next section. It's section D4, and it's on pages 7 and 8 of your affidavit. And that paragraph talks about a September 28th, 2012 search warrant that was executed at 903 West FM 439 in Killeen, Texas, correct?
Correct.
And are you familiar with the investigation and the reports that was generated from that investigation?
Yes.
Okay. You brought me a copy of those reports, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, since you're familiar with those reports, you understand that there was some material that was found in a personal bag at that location on that date?
Yes.
Okay. And in your affidavit, you put that you've reviewed the Texas DPS lab report, which identified 3.55 grams of the plant material as AM-2201, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you'd agree with me that the 3.55 grams that you referenced to was 3.55 grams out of the personal bag that was found at that location, right?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't recall exactly where that was from. I just reviewed the lab report
Okay.
from that search warrant.
But you said you were familiar with the report and knew that there was someone's personal bag that some of this material was found in, right? You said that.
Yes.
Okay. And you are familiar with the reports, and you agree that the reports would reflect that the individual that owns that bag, he actually showed up at the search warrant when it was being executed, right?
I believe so, yes.
And it says in the official Killeen Police Department report that he was asked about a bag, right?
I don't recall.
And that the bag had his name on it, right?
I don't recall that either. I don't have the report in front of me, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, you'd agree that none of that information is in your affidavit, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, who else had the information and the ability to determine that the 3.55 grams that you identify as positive were contained in a personal bag located at this location? Who else had that information?
The case agent.
Okay.
for the search warrant.
Okay. And you've already identified that that's in the report. It's in the report, right?
What's in the report?
That this bag was present, that this material was found in this bag.
I knew some material was found in the bag, but as far as what the test results, what that came from, I don't recall that.
Okay. You treat DPS lab results any differently than you do your field test results?
They're documented and they are put in records.
Okay. If you knew that there was this material found in a personal bag located at the property that was searched, what steps did you take to determine if your statement about the 3.55 grams that was found was located in the personal bag or out in the business on shelves or wherever? What steps did you take to determine
I didn't.
that? Okay. Why not?
I didn't think about doing that.
Wouldn't it be important to know if the 3.55 grams that you refer to was contained in someone's personal belongings?
That wasn't my case. I didn't write the offense report on that.
But you felt it was important enough to put in your affidavit.
I didn't put anything about the bag in the affidavit. I put test results from the search warrant as a
Right.
whole.
But don't
Correct.
you think it would be important to include that information in your affidavit?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody else that you know who would have that knowledge besides the case agent about that personal belonging?
Anyone else that reviewed the report?
Okay. So anyone else that reviewed the report should be able to figure that out, right?
I can't speak for them.
The people that you conferred with in preparing your affidavit, Detective Bowman, prosecutor's office, did they have that information?
They didn't bring it up.
Okay. Everybody knew about the lab report, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. You include a statement here that says the Texas DPS lab in Waco was unable to positively identify over 640 grams. Why'd you include that?
Because they had a total of 775 grams that they tested. It's just verifying that only 3.55 grams total was tested positive.
But you felt it was important to put that they couldn't identify 640 grams. In your other paragraphs, you didn't think it was important to put in what the results were. But you did here.
That's because we had a lab result for this.
Okay. So you felt that it was important to identify that the lab couldn't identify it, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you know whose bag this information or this material was contained? Do you know whose bag it was?
No, not off the top of my head.
You don't know if it's identified in the report?
I don't recall.
You don't know if it says the name of the individual in the report or that it was even written on the bag?
I don't recall.
Okay. If you knew that information when you drew this up, do you think that you would have included that?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to section 5 there in the middle of page 8. And it mentions a break-in that occurred at the same location, right? I think it was a burglary of a business or burglary of a building, something like that.
Correct.
Right?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with the reports in that case?
Yes.
Okay. I've got a copy. I think you brought this as well.
Which one's that?
Is this the December 9th? Yeah, this is the investigation report for the December 9th incident. Now, you mentioned in your affidavit that Sergeant Bradley responded to the call and, while clearing the business, observed what he knew to be synthetic cannabinoids based on training and experience in plain view in the business, right?
Yes.
That's what it says in your affidavit. And you go on to mention that Sergeant Bradley conducted a field test of the substance but was unable to obtain a positive result, right?
Yes.
Now, so here you put in that he was unable to obtain a positive result, right?
Yes.
Well, what does that mean? That it was negative, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that one's negative. And you put that in there because it was important, right?
Yes.
And I think you've been pretty clear that you wouldn't have put it in there if it wasn't very important, right?
If it wasn't important, correct?
Right. You wanted to be fair to Mr. Joseph, right?
Yes.
You wanted to be fair and accurately report your information to the judge.
Yes.
Didn't want to mislead the judge, so you put in this negative result, right?
Yes.
Didn't want there to be any deception or any false information contained, so you included it on this one, right?
Yes.
So who else knew that the test result on number 5 was negative?
Sergeant Bradley knew.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that wrote that supplement, and Detective Bowman knew.
Okay. Did you confer about your test result here with the prosecutor's office when you prepared your affidavit?
The test result itself, it was, I don't specifically remember speaking about it, but it's in the affidavit.
Okay. So, but it was clear to you that what that means is that he tested it and it was a negative result.
Correct.
Okay. I'm curious, you mentioned now that here it's important to put in negative result here, but you've been very adamant about prior to this one that you don't put in results. Now, why'd you choose
That's
to
not
put
what I said.
Okay, well, I'll allow you to clarify.
I didn't say, if results are there and I see them, then I'll put them in there. But it depends on each different investigation, each different case is different.
Now, are you meaning each different report that you reference in your affidavit, or are you talking about each case, meaning this case as a whole?
Just any case in general.
Okay. Well, then, what was the significance of putting it in on number 5, but not putting it in on your other paragraphs?
I saw that he worded it, he was unable to obtain a positive result, and I put it in there.
And you'd agree with me when Sergeant Bradley was there, he wasn't there pursuant to search warrant, right?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Well, you reviewed the report. Do you know, was he there pursuant to a search warrant or not?
He was there for a burglary in progress.
Okay. So And when he was there, he wasn't conducting an undercover purchase, right?
Correct.
He didn't have anybody perform a confidential informant buy of any of these substances.
Not according to his report, no.
Okay. He didn't purchase the product that he tested, did he?
Not according to his supplement, no.
Okay. Moving on to paragraph D6. It talks about the date February 12th, 2013. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason that officers were called to 4702 Teal in Killeen, Texas that day at noon was due to a phone call regarding a burglary of a habitation that was in progress, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You also responded to that address, right?
Correct.
Okay. What time did you arrive?
I don't recall.
Okay. Any idea?
No.
Are there any documents that the Killeen Police Department maintains that would identify what time you arrived?
That I am not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Did you call in on the radio and let the police department know that you arrived?
I don't recall.
Okay. If you did, would there be a document that identifies that?
Yes, if I did, yes, there would be.
Okay. Do you normally?
About the same time you got there, so what time did you get there?
Well, this isn't my deposition, is it? If I give you time, you're just going to agree with me? Is that what you
No,
want to
that's
say?
what I'm saying. But
All right. Well, who was there when you arrived?
a few different officers and a supervisor.
Okay. Do you know who they were?
Sergeant Bradham was there. Sergeant, what's his name? Ramos. I believe Officer Wisenhunt was there. I don't recall who else was there.
Okay. Approximately how many officers would you guess?
Like 3 or 4, I
3 or
would
4?
guess, because I don't remember if, while I was there speaking with them, if others arrived or not. I don't recall.
Okay. Now, when you arrived, it's true that you were notified that the suspect had already fled the scene, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the one. Yes, yeah, the suspect. Yes.
Okay. And that officers had a license plate number for the car, right?
I wasn't aware of that.
You weren't aware of that?
The license plate for the car? No,
Okay.
I don't recall.
Well, how long were you there before you entered the backyard?
5-10 minutes. I don't recall exactly. I was getting briefed by the officers on scene.
Okay. Well, did you look inside the house?
Did I look inside the house? No.
No. Okay. Did you look through the broken window?
No.
You didn't put your head inside the broken window?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, did you go up to the broken window?
I got close to it, but not all the way to it.
How close?
I don't recall.
10 feet?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Okay. How far is the fence from the broken window?
I don't recall that either. I don't know. It was
Okay.
the fence. The fence goes all the way around the property, so I don't know.
Right. Okay. Now, have you listened to the recording of the call to the police about the burglary in progress?
No.
You know who made that call?
No. Apparently a neighbor.
Okay. Do you know what time the call was made?
No. Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Do you have information that you can refer to refresh your memory?
The actual burglary report. What question did you just ask me?
What time the call was made?
The initial call?
Yes.
I didn't have that information at the time.
Okay.
I was out there.
So you never knew what time it was?
Not when I was out there, no. I mean, after the fact, I can read all those, but those weren't available when
Okay.
by the time I got out there.
And you've never talked to the person who made the call?
No,
Okay. Do you know if anybody has?
no,
Have you ever followed up to find out if anyone has?
no.
Okay. Do you know if there's a written or otherwise recorded statement made by an individual that made this call?
No.
Okay.
I'm not aware of it if there was.
All right. Do you know what time the first police officer arrived at the scene?
No, I don't.
Does your affidavit state that approximately 12 p.m. officers were dispatched?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Do you know the names of the officers who went into the backyard?
No, off the top of my head, I don't
Okay.
remember.
Do you know if the officers who went into the backyard, if they wrote reports?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Did you review those reports?
Yes.
Okay. Are those included in the document that you brought last time you were
Yes,
here?
yes, they are.
Okay. There's no other reports that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of now.
Okay. If there were some, you would have brought them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the names of the officers who wrote in their official reports that they smelled synthetic marijuana or synthetic cannabinoids?
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, I know who was out there. I don't specifically remember who told me what.
Do you recall, did anybody tell you in their reports or otherwise that they smelled any illegal substance?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that was Sergeant Bradham.
Sergeant Bradham? Did a canine, a dog go into the residence?
I know Sergeant Bradham is the canine
Mhm.
officer. I don't recall if he actually let the dog loose in the house or not.
Okay. Did it go into the backyard?
Yes.
Did it go in the backyard?
Did he go in the backyard?
The dog.
I believe so, according to his report.
Okay. So you've reviewed his report and you know it says that the dog did go in the backyard?
I'm not going to, without looking at it again, I mean, I'm not going to say that he did or he didn't.
Who contacted Mr. Joseph about this burglary?
I believe dispatch who initially contacted him, and I believe Sergeant Ramos was able to get him on the phone as well.
You mentioned the phone call was, that phone call recorded?
Initially, I think that's the recording I'm trying to get,
Okay.
is the one from dispatch to Mr. Joseph, and apparently Mr. Joseph hung up, or the line got disconnected or something. I don't know what happened, but
Okay.
that's
So-
the recording I'm trying to locate.
So you believe that there is a recording of that phone call?
If it was made from our dispatch, all those lines are recorded, then there would be a recording.
Okay. Do you know how long those recordings are maintained?
I have no idea.
Okay. And if there is one, you haven't listened to it?
No, I haven't been able to get hold of it yet.
You mentioned that's the one you requested. Didn't you also request the phone call that was made regarding the burglary itself
Yes.
to the police department?
Yes.
Do you know if that exists?
If it, like I said, if it was made, I was able to determine it was not a 911 call, because I would have to go through Bell County Communications to get that recording. But it was a call to our police department, so it should be a recording of that.
Sorry, I knocked my mic off. Well, when you arrived at 4702 Teal, who advised you what Mr. Joseph had said in that phone conversation?
I believe it was Sergeant Ramos.
And your affidavit says that Mr. Joseph had advised officers that he did not want them at the house, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, you know, when you arrive, that the homeowner or the person who has the right to control this property has said he doesn't want people there, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you agree that a citizen has the right to deny the government to enter their property?
Of course they do.
Okay. Well, then what legal right did you and the other Killeen Police Department officers have to stay there when Mr. Joseph had told you to leave?
The overwhelming smell of synthetic cannabinoids emitting from the residence.
Okay. Well, you say in your affidavit that it was coming from the broken window of the residence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that means you were in the backyard.
Yes, I was in the backyard.
But you've already told me that you had been told not to go there,
Not to go where?
not to be on the premises. Right? That's what you say in your affidavit. Mr. Joseph said it did not want them at the house.
Okay, officers had the residence secured for a burglary.
Mm-hmm.
Unknown if there was anyone inside. They advised me there was a strong odor of what they believe narcotics, some type of narcotics, synthetic cannabinoids, emitting from the residence. The second, I said, well, show me the point of entry. So they brought me to where they had a ladder, and as I stepped over the fence, I immediately smelled it, what they were telling me that they smelled, and that's when I advised them, even before I got to the window. As I walked toward the window, it got stronger. That smell got stronger. I don't even know how close I got to the window, but I never looked inside.
Okay.
I saw a broken window, that was it. But at that point, I'd told detectives to lock, or the supervisor on scene to lock the residence down. I was going to apply for a search warrant.
Okay. So if no one told you that they smelled narcotics, would you have gone into the backyard anyway?
Depends on the situation. I mean, I don't know what you're asking me.
I'm talking about
exactly.
this situation. If none of the officers told you that, would you have gone
No.
in there?
No.
You wouldn't have gone back there?
No.
Okay. And you do agree that Mr. Joseph did refuse entry to the police before you got there?
Yes.
You still chose to climb over his fence?
Based on what the officers were telling me, yes, and that the scene was still possibly could have had someone inside. So yes.
You know, your affidavit says that you responded to the residence where officers pointed out the suspected point of entry.
Correct.
Okay. Doesn't say anything in here about officers telling you, hey, I think we have suspected cannabinoids here. says that you detected a very strong odor.
Yes, once
And you've
officers
said
pointed
that-
out to
And
me.
you've said that you didn't smell it until you got over the fence. You've already said that.
Yeah, me personally, yes.
Right. So I'm trying to reconcile that I guess today, are you saying that someone else told you that they smelled
It's in my report, yes.
Okay, but not in your affidavit?
Correct.
Okay. Don't you think that would be important to put in your affidavit?
I guess it could be.
You guess it could be, or do you do a lot of guessing in your line of business?
I'm gonna object to form.
Do you guess it's important, or do you believe it's important?
Yes, it's important.
Okay. Well, don't you agree with me that once Mr. Joseph told y'all to leave, that y'all should have left?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay. But you do agree with me that if a property owner tells you to leave, that you should leave?
Yes, unless he's got drugs inside his residence.
In the middle of this paragraph, you talk about being on call and some information that you received from Officer Kingsley about Sheldon Joseph, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the reason you included that in here was you wanted to convince Judge Gant to issue the search warrant, right?
That was coming from the same address is why it's in there. Ms. Sheldon Joseph reported his address as 4702 Teal.
Okay. But, I mean, the reason you have it in the affidavit is you think it's important to obtain a search warrant, right?
It's probable cause, yes, part of the
Okay.
probable cause, yes.
So we'd agree then that the date would be important as well, right?
Yes,
Okay. And we'd agree that a highly trained and competent officer or detective would include that, right?
yes,
A date. Dates are important in affidavits and reports, right? Right?
yes.
Okay. Well, you agree with me that you don't have a date for this stop in here?
No, I don't have the date, just the time. But it's the same day.
Okay. Well, if you had to do it all over again, wouldn't you put the date in there?
Yeah,
If you had to do it all over again, would you put any of these other things that we've talked about in your affidavit?
no,
You wouldn't.
I don't have it to do all over again. I did what I thought was the best job I could do at the time I did it.
This last paragraph here, number 7, that's just your statement of things that you believe you're going to find inside, right?
That's correct.
That doesn't really go towards your probable cause, right? Just says what you believe you're going to find.
It ties in with everything else.
Well, you can't include what I think I'm going to find as a result of a search warrant to try to bootstrap a search warrant, can you?
It says right there that I believe.
Right,
So,
right.
yes.
So, okay. All right. And then the last page, page 10, has got the judge's signature there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, going back to page 1, and you remember this section here that says what Judge Gant commanded you to do, right?
Yes.
Now, you wouldn't disregard what a judge tells you to do, would you?
No.
Okay. You wouldn't choose on your own what parts of the judge's command I'm going to comply with and what parts I'm not going to comply with, right?
No.
Okay. Well, what did Judge Gant command you to do as far as returning your warrant?
To do a search warrant return.
Okay. When did he command you to return it?
Within 3 days.
Okay.
The warrant. We had 3 days to execute the warrant.
Right. And do what?
Return it.
Okay.
Not within, this doesn't state within 3 days though.
Well, when did
I see what you're looking at.
When did you return?
I don't recall the exact date.
Okay. Does this tell you when?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
When did you actually return that?
The 28th.
Okay. So you didn't return that within 3 days, right?
No.
Okay. So it was more like 13 days, something like that, right? Well, so do you feel like you were disregarding what the judge told you to do
No.
there or not?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Let's take a short break.
We're off at approximately 3:12 p.m. Scene of tape 2.